Welcome back, everyone. I'm tracking wires again, and this setup was not making sense to me in the first place, but I think I got it now, though it still doesn't entirely make sense. But I can see that the original path of this pair is down through here. This lumber has been replaced, so it appears that it came through here. There's a hole in this one. As the length adds up to these that have been cut. Come into this box, and it's kind of in an upside down configuration, but that doesn't matter. And this one, which you would think looking at it at first would be the output from this switch, because it's the single, actually reaches down here at about the proper length, and this receptacle is fed from a conduit, so this is where it got the power and then switched these two on, and these two are in parallel. This is the part that doesn't make complete sense to me, but because it doesn't have to. We believe that these are the wires going upstairs, the pair I dealt with yesterday, that go up to the center of the ceiling where the hanging fan goes. I just don't see why there would be two in parallel, but maybe it was just put there to have the option of switching something else, and they just used them in parallel for lower resistance. So we don't have to fully understand why to put things back how they were. I just prefer it. So anyway, let's make sure that these two wires are in fact those two wires. Very likely, but they do disappear for a while, and stranger things have happened. And we listen for the beep. Yep, there it is. Oh yeah. We'll go down and make sure though. Yep, that's a beep all right. And 0 ohms of resistance. The other one. Oh yeah. I've gotten much better at hearing that beep just now. So yesterday's plan will work just fine. We're replacing two 14 gauge pairs with a 3 conductor with ground 12 gauge. So it would still allow you to switch two different devices and have a greater capacity than the 14 gauge wire, continuing the spirit of the original installation, even though we're only switching one device. Now we just have to get it down through there. Might require further dismantling, but that's a little later. Now we know from original photographs and this wiring evidence that there is a light hanging on the wall outside right here. You can see the short length of wire on a single pole switch. Here are the fixture wires still stuck to it. And Ed was noticing yesterday that this wire is more modern looking than all of the other wire in the building here. But this is underground feeder wire, UF. So it had to be that way. And I think it's just they used what they had here because they used some of this outside when they were undergroundedly feeding things. Like these lights out here. And this fountain. Under here. So here is the side that had that outside light fixture in the original picture. Though we have about a 3-inch stack of original photos, this side is not in them. But the wiring evidence here leaves me almost no doubt that it had the same sort of fixture in that sort of a position out there. Here there's green and blue paint on this wire, this original wire, where it would have been going through the wall. And here again are the fixture wires still stuck to this. These are smaller gauge, stranded fixture wires. That is the only responsible conclusion I can come to. Though we cannot find photographic evidence, I cannot imagine what else this could have done. We have interior photos of this, with no light fixtures in the area. So at least for now, this is how I'm going to have to wire it. Okay, folks, through several more hours of that sort of continuity testing you just witnessed, I have determined what everything in this building does, except one missing item. That here, this area receives power directly from our original fuse panel through that conduit going under the floor. Powers the switch to the ceiling fan all the way at the peak there, and then goes over that way to that other receptacle. Here is another feed direct from the original panel via this conduit, and then came out the top here and over this way through this wire that was cut off when they reframed that, over here to feed this receptacle, which fed this light switch, which operated our undocumented outdoor fixture that I discussed earlier. Here is a third feed direct from the panel via the conduit, where it then came out the top of this box to feed what I can tell from this original hole in the framing here. Fed this box and probably went that way to feed the box over by the door, but I can't tell for sure because of all the new framing. Then from this box, it goes and powers the switch box here, wherein one switch operates our clearly documented outdoor fixture that we have in the picture, and another switch operates something that goes down. That's our missing item, which might be out in the yard somewhere. There may be a light on the fountain, or anywhere else, really. The other pair of wires going down here was in the always live arrangement and goes out to the pump well in the fountain. Somehow from here, out to this well. and into that lovely electrical box, which already had an extra bit of wire spliced onto it from here. And then this underground feeder type cable does not appear at the other end. As you saw, it was just individual conductors going down a conduit, so something else happens between here and there. To get to the bottom of that, Monday, we're going to have to start digging up the yard. Okay, then from that mess, over here to this guy, which is all by itself, fed directly from the panel. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's nice that it's simple. And for our final outer wall items, this area has the only 3 conductor wires in the building. And what I have determined is that this 3 conductor arrangement goes down that conduit, arrives in this box, which is where that area appears to get its power. There's an ordinary 2 conductor here, which comes from whatever the next device is in this inside wall arrangement. But it feeds power through 2 of the 3 conductors, and then the red one is switched over there for this wall sconce. And in addition to that, there appears to have been an outside wall light, which I believe we have a picture of. And then this 3 conductor arrangement goes down here, again with the black always live, so it powers this receptacle, and then continues, goes outside with a neutral, an always live, and a switched. Which somehow arrive in the back of this receptacle box, which again, we have a situation where we have continuity here, but they are not exactly the same at both ends, and we need to dig this up and make sure that we have good and proper connections everywhere in an accessible manner. But the important thing first is that we figure out how this stuff was arranged so we can put it back that way. So you have the 3 conductors with the neutral and the always live powering this receptacle, and then the switched one goes to these 2 lights, the one here and over on the other side of the stairs. And again, we have to replace all of the wiring, so it does not necessarily have to be done this way. It won't. It will be routed differently because we can't reuse these conduits and such. These are rotten. That's even if they aren't yet, they're going to, and I'm not doing that. Like, just look at this one. That was right there. We'll refeed these things using a different route, like overhead here from the utility room. But the point was to understand how these things were grouped and switched, and understanding that allows us to make sure that we don't have any missing devices, like that one that we have here. So we know that we're still looking for something. So what's inside here will be pretty easy to deal with. But outside, we have a missing device to look for, and our connections. There are still connections somewhere between here and the destination that shouldn't be there, because I don't know that they're there, and they're therefore not accessible, and most likely are horrible. So we have much investigation and digging to do in the yard and driveway. But I now know what I need to know to fairly quickly assemble the new wiring for the exterior of the dome so that we can put our insulation in most of the areas. We'll just have to leave out a piece here or there until we finish these things that go to the outside. And on the fishing a new wire in for the fan up there. We're going to remove these panels, so I have to run refrigerant lines and wiring for our heat pumps through here anyway. And this is a separate panel right there. It won't be difficult to do that without being destructive. So, it feels disappointing in a way, right? I didn't build anything today, but I spent all this time. But I've learned a lot. An entire building's worth of electrical layout, so that I now know exactly what to do next time. So, I hope you learned something and found that enjoyable somehow. That's just the way it is on the restoration process. And I'll remind you that if you'd like to contribute to our project, you can donate at fullerdomehome.com. And I will link that in the description of this video. So Monday, I can put in a bunch of new wiring and get a lot more insulation in this place. So, hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.